We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay! And I truly believe that we have an intuitive knowing that will guide us. It's the trick of hearing that knowing and actually being able to listen to it. Welcome to the We Are the Village Parenting Podcast.
Hi, my name is Serena, mother to 2 little ones.
And hi, I'm Lisa, also known as the Singing Amma. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an Amma.
In this podcast, I am learning to practice gentle, attachment-focused parenting. Amma Lisa is here to teach us why it's vital to our children's development and well-being.
And I come to the village with a background in early childhood education. I have been coaching and supporting parents along their parenting journeys for over 35 years. Together, we explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family.
We invite you to grab your latte
or your tea
and come sit around the proverbial ancient fire with us each week.
When we come together to have a conversation where we'll be keeping it real, keeping it raw, right here with you in the wonderful world of all things parenting.
Hey, Amma.
Hi, Serena.
So this week, I'd like to ask you and for us to have a conversation on how to stay true to your own parenting style. Because especially becoming a new mom, everybody wants to come to you and tell you, don't let them sleep in your bed. You're going to get them used to sleeping with you, or don't put a binky in their mouth. Their teeth are going to grow bad, or just so many people in your ear when they see you have a kid. And it's hard. Sometimes you feel like maybe you need to discipline them in front of them because your kid is acting up, but that's not what you want to do in that moment. You just want to give them some love and try to connect. And they may look at you like, what is she doing? Why?
Oh, yeah. And I don't know why the whole wide world seems like they're allowed to give unsolicited advice to new mamas.
Unsolicited, yes.
Unsolicited advice. I don't know about you, but grandparents, aunts and uncles, maybe some of your girlfriends, I'm not sure who you're experiencing with this with, strangers in the shops, like it's just bizarre how much people think that they can give unsolicited advice.
It is very bizarre.
And it's very frustrating for new mamas and dads, and it's very disconcerting, because actually, do you find that it has you questioning, like, am I doing the right thing?
Oh
What
yeah.
Yeah, what is the thing that I want to be doing? How come everybody's telling me what I should be doing and that's not what I want to be doing? Like, all those conflicting thoughts and concerns come up, right?
Yes. And guilt.
Mm.
Guilt. Like maybe I'm not doing it right and then I feel bad. I think
Mhm.
the first time I felt it was when I had my first child, and her cousin is kind of the same age. So they were giving her a bath every day. And they were kind of looking at me crazy because I wasn't bathing my newborn every day. But I was like, her skin is so sensitive and she just lays there all day. She's not exerting herself. She's not doing anything. She doesn't need a bath every day. She's going to dry out
Right.
her skin.
And then when we try to do research in, back in the day when I was a new mom, there were so many books. Now there's even more books, and I want to write a book. And, nowadays you just have to go onto your computer or your phone and go bathing a newborn baby every day, ? And you get a million different ideas and thoughts. And, um, I believe in myself, in the core of my being, that we have intuition that can guide us as mamas, especially the ones that carry these babies in our bodies, the ones that are designed to hold these babies to our breast. And as even for adopting mamas, we are designed to nurture. And I truly believe that we have an intuitive knowing that will guide us. It's the trick of hearing that knowing and actually being able to listen to it. Um, for me as a new mama, I had a very strong intuition that I wanted my baby to sleep with me. I wanted to be holding my baby all the time. I luckily found a book that I read that really encouraged holding our babies. Now we call it attachment parenting. It actually was largely born of that book, from that book that was written back in the early 80s. I want to say it could have been earlier. And so how do we stay true to that? I think that a parent, like a thoughtful parent, is a good parent, a parent who's going to think, is this the right thing to be doing? I think that's good. But I also think that sort of landing in what you believe, if you believe sleeping with your babies is the best thing, then sleep with your babies and find the resources of information that support that, because you'll find resources for supporting anything.
Yeah.
We're going to talk soon about the crying it out method that people use. That has never, ever rung true for me. And parents who use it swear by it. And I am here to say, there's so many reasons why that's not a good idea. But that's because I've researched that, because it was never felt right to me. Right. And so washing your baby every day when they're newborn, is it necessary? Let's go to your resources online, in your books, find people that resonate with you as a whole and see what they're saying about it. And what we do actually when we do quote unquote research these days, because it's mostly on our phones and it's mostly through the Google gods, is that we actually will find posts that resonate with us. So that's what your intuition is telling you. That's what your parenting style is telling you, is that if you go look at, should I bathe my baby every day? And you find things that say, oh yeah, you can't have a stinky baby, or, like you got to have a clean baby, whatever. But if you find somebody that says, no, don't bathe your newborn every day because their natural coating on their skin is actually designed to merge into the layers of the skin and is good for their skin. And their bodily oils are very good for them learning how to be in the world with air around them because they've been in a womb with fluid around them. Those things are really good. And you go, yeah, that's what I think. So there you'll find your alignment. And you'll also find support for your argument, for your choices, whether you choose to argue out loud or whether you just reaffirm for yourself inside your head when somebody says, why aren't you bathing your baby every day? Then you can think to yourself, oh, because I know that the oils are actually really good for our skin.
Yeah.
And you could say, my understanding is the oils are good for baby's skin.
Yeah.
Her natural oils. She's just learning to be in the air. So you can give a little bit of information if somebody asks or suggests that you do things differently. But mostly, I think for me, it was always about supporting my beliefs and my base of knowledge that I had prior to having my baby. I'd already done my early childhood education at college, and I'd already been, part-time mama to a whole bunch of kids that I, took care of for different, either I was a nanny a few different times. And so lots of parenting practice before I had my own. So it just supported what I believed.
Yeah. And I think that support removes the guilt, because if you are questioning yourself, then you might feel guilty. Am I doing the best for my daughter then, or my son, whatever your child? Am I doing the best for my child? And that's what really sits with me most, is the guilt. So doing that research, supporting and finding what supports your decision in whichever it is that you're choosing, that really helps get rid of those little thoughts that stay in your head after.
And typical new mamas, you're going to toss and turn in bed at night, and you're going to say, oh my God, like, should I? Somebody just says a casual, sometimes they're sort of passive aggressive sort of statements in your hearing, and it just stays with you. And so in the middle of the night, you're like, oh God, should I be doing something differently? And you can look it up again, and you can go down a different rabbit hole with it, and you can find, oh yeah, okay, I'm on the right path. I got this, and you can get that reassurance. You can also write to us, listeners. You can write to us, and we would love to delve into your questions and your topics about what is right with these kinds of questions that you might have in your own parenting.
Yes, we'd love that. So I think this question kind of came up for me because, to be honest, I live with my mother-in-law, and sometimes she does things with my daughter that maybe I don't like. And I'm sure I do things with my daughter that she probably doesn't like. But especially when you're living under the same roof, that can be hard.
The multi-generational family life under the same roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is my village. And sometimes I feel like, maybe I feel like I know more, and I'm sure she feels like she knows more since she has experience. And, it's kind of just a little difficult sometimes, either when it comes to feedings or saying certain things.
Can you give us a specific example?
Okay. So in the morning, I'd prefer my daughter to have her breakfast. And sometimes my daughter will get up and go with her, and she'll give my daughter a bottle instead. And I prefer her not to drink a bottle because, a bottle is for going to sleep for me. When it's time to go to sleep, you get the bottle, and that's our routine, the bottle in bed. And so in the morning, I'd rather you fill yourself with something more nutritious. And I don't know, the bottle isn't part of that routine for me. It's very
totally
I
Yeah.
don't see a purpose in the morning for a bottle. I think
Yeah.
it's a little too coddling, maybe. That's how I see it.
I mean, your daughter, your older daughter, has recently weaned herself from breastfeeding when the new baby came, right?
Yeah.
And you were open to feeding both. And then she stopped being interested. And now the new baby has the breastfeeding. So I didn't know that you had a bottle at night, and that's totally fine if she wants to have that as a way to settle in at night. But if she's ready to release herself from breastfeeding as her primary source of comfort and nutrition that she was getting from you, then absolutely she doesn't need that morning bottle. And if she was to get a morning bottle, I would think that would be something that you would give her or dad would give her. He's probably off at work, but you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
so so here's some of the things I want to say about intergenerational households. Yes, it is your village. And yes, we grandmothers do feel like we know more sometimes because we have experience. I was always quite surprised that my daughter didn't want more of my suggestions because I actually have my training and I actually coach parents as my work and do parent classes and all that kind of thing. But because it was the mother-daughter relationship or the mother-in-law daughter relationship, it was not appreciated. And I had to learn to be quiet because that's not my place as a grandmother. And I think that's a little bit sad in our society that that's the way grandmothers are looked at and treated because we do know more, even those of us who haven't had the training that I have and the background that I have. And there are new ways of being parents. Some of them I would actually call really old ways of being parents, like having our babies sleep with us and not washing them every day. Those kinds of attachment parenting that we focus on are very old ways. But for your mother-in-law, she would see it as a new fangled, sure, this is what they do now. What's wrong with putting a baby down the hall in a crib? Maybe not your mother-in-law, but that era of mothers, right?
Yeah.
So having said all that, the dynamics between mothers and mothers-in-law and the mamas with their babies can be challenging at the best of times. Living under the same roof, yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's some challenge. Oh yeah. Number one, you and your husband need to establish what you want, and you need to establish very firm boundaries. In the case of and responsibilities, and everybody in the household should be involved in what are the responsibilities that each one of us has as part of this household, and what are the boundaries around my family, the extended family, so there's got to be some really clear communication and really clear boundaries set up. Then you've got some parameters to work within, right?
Yeah.
So with the case of the bottle feeding, you and or your husband can say to your mother-in-law, for breakfast, she needs to be eating breakfast food and not having a bottle. And I need to know that I can count on you for that. For other kinds of things, like disciplinary kinds of things, I don't know if you're running into that, but I know that a lot of intergenerational families do, because you want to do it one way and the other people in the household might think you should do it a different way. And one of the very best, very simple statements to say is, if your child acts out and, a sister-in-law, brother-in-law, grandparent, somebody wants to step in and says something, or they do step in and say something, and it's not in line with your disciplinary style, you need to say, I will handle this, and step in and take your daughter's hand and do what you do, whether it's leave the room and deal with it or deal with it there. And also letting them know a way that they can be helpful. So an example again with the behavioral stuff, you can say to your mother-in-law or whomever else in the household, if there's a behavior that you don't like, please come and get me and I will handle it. We have our way of raising our children, and we need you to respect our way. So come and get me and I will deal with it. Or my husband will deal with it, right?
It's really just setting boundaries, right? And
so much about
speaking, saying
speaking.
them. That's the scariest part, is just saying it to them.
Yeah. And, for me, I'm a very empathetic person. So I would be like, why is grandma giving her, what do you call her? Abu? Why is Abu giving her a bottle? Are they sitting together? Are they snuggling together? Is it a cozy time? Or is it just easier? Or is she just asking for it and Abu's giving in? What is that scenario? And if it's a snuggle time, then you could offer, I get that it's nice and snuggly when she has a bottle. Can you have a snuggle together right after she's finished having her breakfast? And maybe you could read her a story. Stories are a really nice way to snuggle.
Yeah.
And she's 2 now, I would love her to find new ways of being comforted and snuggling, because she's ready for that. And I know that you want the best for her. And so I know that you will support me in this. Like always trying to spin it with that positive too. And really knowing that Abu wants the very best for all her grandchildren and supporting that. And also another way to help the extended family is if your child is having a rough day, if a little one is teething, if the 2-year-old is not having a nap and you can see how tired they are, and it's time to be with the whole extended family, maybe you're just going into the main rooms with everybody downstairs, whatever, just giving people a heads up and saying, she hasn't had a nap today. She may be a little on the cranky side.
Yeah.
Just going to give her a little bit of extra grace or whatever. Right.
Yes.
And remember, if there's a behavior that comes up, come get me. I'm right here.
Yeah.
And I will deal with it. Right. Because and I know, and listeners, from listening to us for a few weeks now, that few months, maybe if you've been here all along, that a tired child doesn't need to be punished.
No.
They need to be connected with. You're doing connection style parenting, and lots of in-laws, aunts and uncles and grandparents, they're not going to get that. They haven't been raised like that. They haven't felt that intuitively in their body. But a reason that we don't feel it intuitively on our bodies, I want to say, everybody, is we're not listening. We're filling up our lives with so much noise. We're on technological devices all day long, whether it's playing games on a screen or scrolling through social apps on a screen or whatever we're doing. It's noisy. We're listening to music. People don't go for walks anymore. They go for walks with earbuds in. They're listening to podcasts. They're listening to music. They're not listening to the birds. I have this practice in my life, and I'm not a mama with little kids, and I don't have little kids living in my space, but I get up in the morning and I go outside and I sit and I listen to the birds, and it's my meditation in the morning now. And when we clear space in our heads, in our minds, it allows for more listening to that intuition of who we actually are as human beings. So if you're not hearing the intuition, maybe you need a little more quiet in your world.
Yes, and we have an episode on quiet time. If it didn't come out, then it's gonna come out. But
Yeah.
yes, we speak on that because it is so important. And I do the same thing in the morning. I will not go on social media. People wake up and they grab their phone, and the first thing they go to check is messages, Facebook, Instagram, or something. And
Yeah.
that's not how I want to start my day. I want to start my day more in tune with my body waking up, my mind waking up, seeing my children in my bed and getting them ready to wake up, and just be more present, because you wake up and the first thing you dive into social media and you're living in somebody else's world. And then just
you're
the
not in the
tone it's
room.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I love that that's your awareness. So good. Another thing I want to just point out about living with extended family is that it's really important not to speak badly about others, especially in front of them, but even, don't speak badly about your child, whether in front of them or if they're not in the room. If your child is having a wild moment and they're just not listening and they're just running around and they're acting up, and you know that they need to get outside and have a run, it's not going to help them to become the child that they're becoming in a better way if you say to the people around you, because you're kind of feeling, oh God, here's my child acting out again. It's not going to help if they hear you say, or even if you say it, because energetically you're saying it, oh, she's such a wild one, or oh, he's a little hellion. Like, don't speak ill of your children to make yourself feel better, because that's just how that kid is. It's just it's like, oh boy, it's time to get outside. That would be a much more supportive comment. And also, don't speak ill of the grandparents or the aunts and uncles to your child or to your husband, and certainly don't let your children overhear you. If you need to bounce something off your partner so that you guys can get in alignment with what your boundaries are, don't let your children overhear you speaking badly about the other. And of course, with separated families, don't ever badmouth your former partner and the child's other parent. It's so damaging to the children.
Yes, and they are always listening. Even if you think you're just speaking to somebody right next to you and they're over there playing, they are always listening.
Yes. Oh yeah. Don't be within earshot or they will hear you. They will hear you.
Even if you think they're in their own world, they are paying attention and they want to hear what you're saying.
Oh, every minute.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the last point that I wanted to make is that it's so important, especially in extended family life, but also if you're out in public or if you're visiting your extended family, whatever it is, or visiting friends, to stand up for yourself and to stand up for your child. So if another person says, oh, aren't you a little queen? Don't you just think you can get everything you want? You're a spoiled little girl. Then it's important for you to say, actually, in our family, we don't call each other names. It's so important to stand up for yourself and for your child. Actually, in our family, we don't shame. So basically, just knowing that it's your right as the parent and your responsibility as the parent to stand up for both yourself and your child and your family dynamic and your choices as a family.
Yeah, and that's a big one. And that really sits with me because there has been times where somebody said something to my kid and just out of embarrassment, I didn't want to say anything back. And then I'm up all night thinking my kid cannot stand up for herself and say something. That is my job.
Yes.
And
Mama.
I do not need to feel embarrassed.
No.
My main job is to stand up for my child and to be the voice that she doesn't have for herself.
Thank you. Yes. And imagine if you were feeling embarrassed. Imagine what your child was feeling from that interaction. The other thing you can do, if you can't speak up right in that moment, you can say just things like, ouch, that didn't work for me. If you don't know what it was that didn't work, like in our family, we don't cast shame upon our children or whatever it is. If you can't find the words, you can just say, ooh, ow, ow, ow. Something about that didn't feel right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You just buy time. That's all you need to say. And if you can't even do that, or that doesn't feel comfortable, or there's a weird energy in the room that's not going to go down well, you just say, oh, baby, let's go. We're going to go outside now. Or, oh, we got to go do something in my room. I just remembered. Or, just get yourselves out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing you can do is you can go over to your child and you can say, ouch, I'm wondering if that didn't feel good when Auntie said that. That didn't feel good in my body. I'm wondering if it didn't feel good in your body. And sometimes we can't exactly express what the feeling is. And if you don't know the name of the emotion that it brings up, you can also say, oh, I just feel it's tight up in my chest right now, or my tummy just clenched together when that was, you can describe where it is in your body too, which is really helpful. But also, when you are alone with your child later, if you weren't able to say something in the moment, you can say, hey, remember when Auntie said this? Was there some feelings there that you had? You can check in with her first. If she's not able to articulate it, you can say, it didn't feel good to me, and I'm wondering if it didn't feel good to you. And what I want to let you know is, if that happens again, I'm going to stand up and say something so that people don't keep talking to you or to us that way. I'm here for you. And it's not okay to be spoken to like that. One example that I'll give is when my daughter was about 6, I think. We experienced an evening at my dad's house, and he was drunk, and my dad was an alcoholic. And it was the first time that my daughter had ever seen him really drunk. And he was not the same person with her. He didn't treat her the same in his adoring way that he always did. And I could tell that she was really weirded out by what was going on. And when we went home, I didn't say anything while we were there, but I was really uncomfortable because it triggers me from my childhood. And when we went home, I had a conversation with her and I said, so honey, how was it being with Avi tonight? And she said, it was weird. And I said, yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? And I just explained to her, I said, you know what? Avi was drunk. Avi's an alcoholic and he drank too much. And when he drinks too much, his behavior changes. And I noticed that he was really different with you. And I could see that that was difficult for you. And so I just spelled it out very clearly to her. And I also said, if that happens again and it's uncomfortable, come and sit beside me. And if you need to leave, you can tell me.
Yeah.
So that was, for me, an extreme example of that. But I wanted to speak about it to just say how important it is that we speak our truth and we share our knowledge with our children in very simple terms. And we let them know that we've got their back.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And thank you all for listening. Thank you for your questions today and your concerns. I think this is more and more common again, that people are living with extended family, but we're almost all of us are with extended family at some points, and certainly around others who may have different parenting ideas. And so how to stand up for ourselves and our children is a great conversation. Thank you for raising it.
Thank you. So thanks for tuning into this week's episode. I know it was kind of a long one, but it was very informative and it was very helpful for me as somebody who struggles with mom guilt and staying true to my parenting style. So these are the 4 takeaways I got from this episode. Number 1, listen to your intuition. If you decide on doing something for your kid, look it up, do the research you need to do to find information that supports your decision so you feel comfortable and secure in doing what's best for your kid. Number 2, set boundaries. If you're around grandparents and aunts and uncles, then it's important to set boundaries of what you expect or what you do and what you don't do with your kid. And it's important to say them and have that conversation, even though it can be uncomfortable. But it doesn't have to have a negative energy to it. You could just let them know what you want for your kid, and that's fine. And number 3, if your baby's super tired and they're a little cranky and you're about to go into a setting with other people, forewarn them, let them know they're tired, they didn't get their nap, so we might have some big feelings. And that's okay. And number 4, stand up for yourself and stand up for your children. It's our right and it's our responsibility as parents. We need to be their voice, and we always want them to feel loved and supported and comfortable. And they don't have the voice to do that for themselves when they're kids. So we need to be that voice, and we need to not be scared, not get uncomfortable, and be that mama bear. And I think those are 4 tips to really parent in confidence, because we're all doing the best we can, and that's all we can do. So thanks for tuning into this episode, and we hope you got some useful information out of it, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Thanks for being here with us in our virtual village. Hit subscribe so you're notified about our newest episodes each week.
And hey, did you get something from today's episode? I know I sure did. Be kind. Hit that share button and send it to your mama friends so they can benefit from it too.
Also, by leaving us a review, you will be helping more parents out there to find answers to the questions that might be keeping them up at night.
We'd love you to follow us on Instagram and our Facebook page at The Village Parenting Pod.
And we'd love you to direct message us. Let us know your questions that we could address in future episodes and how we can serve you better.
This podcast is sponsored by the Singing Amma's private parent coaching and workshop offerings. We also now have a Buy Me a Coffee option for a fun way that you could support this podcast. Link is in the show notes.